Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a makeup and true crime. This was requested several times due to, I believe, the ties that we actually know the ladies or the women who actually committed this heinous crime. Buckle up, buttercups, because this is a heavy case. And this also is the case that got me into true crime. So we're going to go through all the case details, everything that happened, everything that concluded afterwards, and then I'll tell you a little bit more insight. This true crime video is going to be about Donald Scotty Baker. And this is Scotty's story. Scotty's day started like any other day. He went to school. School was having a special lunch for the kids that day. It was Thanksgiving. This is where Scotty's day took a turn. So it was like any other day for him, until Susan Baker entered the school building wearing a wig and sunglasses. She told the school secretary she wanted to pick up Scotty, and the school secretary asked the reasoning. She replied, "I'm going to take him to see his dad, who was a truck driver." A truck driving job is very demanding. So the secretary saw Scotty in the hall going to lunch, and she asked him if she'd rather go to lunch or go see his dad. And of course he chose to see his dad, which he didn't get to see much. The secretary didn't ask for Susie's ID because Scotty seemed to know her. She claimed to be his cousin, posing as Patricia Smith, his actual cousin, which Scotty had actually never met. But I'm assuming, now this is my insight, that he's actually knows who Suzanne is, and later we're going to start calling her Susie, because he had been around her prior, because that is his stepmom's best friend. So I think that's why he knew her, or thought, you know, she looked familiar to him. The sign-out sheet was signed, and Scotty was allowed to leave with her. Scotty was excited and waved bye to his friends. He was excited to go spend time with his dad. Donald Scotty Baker was born on February 17th, 1982 in Clay County, Kentucky, to Donald Baker and Ruth Rose. I love that name. He was in the 5th grade at Pesos Creek Elementary School. He was a good kid. He was always happy, always had a smile on his face, and was a friend to everyone. He loved basketball and shooting his rifle. And that may seem strange to some of you that think 10-year-old out there shooting a rifle, but in Kentucky that's very normal. Donald and Ruth, Scotty's parents, were divorced by this time. He spent lots of time with his dad and his new wife, Stephanie Spitzer. Ruth and Donald cherished Scotty. They lived close by each other, and visitation arranged was going well. Scotty and his dad spent a lot of time together doing activities. Stephanie never took part in these activities. Now remember, she is the new stepmom. Donald and Stephanie met in 1991 and married the following year on Valentine's Day. Donald was 37 and Stephanie was 22 years old. Scotty was in the wedding, and Donald said he picked up on something right away. Stephanie was resentful of Scotty and jealous of the attention he got. I feel like, why would you marry someone? Hello? That wasn't good to your child. Stephanie complained to a friend she couldn't do what she wanted in her own home when Scotty was around. Now, Donald was a truck driver and was gone a lot, so she didn't like this either. So fast forward to November the 25th, 1992. This is back to the day that Scotty was taken. Ruth had planned to pick Scotty up early at school as a surprise. And when Ruth went down to the school to pick up him, he was already gone. And Ruth didn't think much of this because he sometimes rode the bus to his grandmother's, thinking that this is what he done. She went home and offered her a job at Walmart. And Ruth's mother called her around 7 p.m. That night, the grandmother called Ruth and asked if she had picked Scotty up at school that day, because she hadn't seen Scotty either. Stephanie Janine Spitzer was an outgoing person, and in her high school, she was part of a club called Teens Who Care. Also a candidate for Miss Laurel County High competition. In the senior yearbook, she wrote, "I will my soul to God who willed his soul to me. My respect and love to my parents and brother. My love and heart to my papa, who makes each day of my life special." She wanted to be a teacher and finished 2 years of college. Suzanne Baker. She's no relation to Scotty at all. Baker is just a pretty common name around these parts. She's no relation to Scotty or Donald. Well, Susie and Stephanie were friends, and Stephanie often confided in Susie about her resentment of Scotty. So I want to say we're going to start referring to her as Susie because that's technically who I know her as Susie, not Suzanne. So we're still talking about Suzanne Baker. I'm just going to start referring to her as Susie. A week before Scotty was checked out of school by Susie, Stephanie was upset that Scotty would be staying the night with her and Donald again. Not only that, but Stephanie just found out she was pregnant and didn't feel Donald was very happy about this news. There are differing accounts of what actually was planned. What we know is Stephanie asked Susie to wear the wig and glasses at the school so she wouldn't be recognized, and Stephanie would later claim it was so if Ruth was at the school she wouldn't recognize Susie. So she walked Scotty out of the school into the car, and he was so excited about seeing his dad. He believed Susie was his cousin, so he wasn't leery about going with her, and he got into the front seat and Susie began driving. And according to Susie, the plan was they were going to scare him into not wanting to see his dad anymore. We know that this was not the plan now. Okay? Stephanie was hiding in the back seat underneath some clothes, and she began strangling Scotty from behind. And Scotty fought so hard for his life, you guys. He tried to scream and kicked his legs, bashing in the console dash of the car. Stephanie continued her attack until Scotty stopped struggling. Susie continued to drive and didn't intervene, all while Scotty's life was being taken. And the pair determined he was dead. Susie was fearful of being outed by Stephanie and continued to cooperate. Stephanie told her she is just as much to blame in Scotty's murder because she checked him out of school and was the driver. And all of this happened. This is so gut-wrenching. About 100 feet or so from the school. No one's seen something. No one's seen anything. No one suspected anything. Oh my goodness. Okay, if better measures would have been taken at the school and all the things that should have happened. If this case wasn't already terrible, you guys, what's to come next is horrific. So once Ruth realized something wasn't right, she left her job and called the school to be told that he was picked up by someone named Patricia Smith. She also called Donald, and Scotty wasn't with him either, and Ruth grew suspicious and thought he had took him with intentions of keeping him from her. She filed a police report, and the police began looking for a woman named Patricia Smith. All the women they found had alibis or didn't match the description given by the school secretary. Time went on. Ruth and Donald both accused the other of taking him and hiding him, and they began scouring the neighborhood and talking to his friends. They printed flyers and contacted the media for help, and Ruth pleaded before cameras. This is Ruth's plead. Please just bring him out at the end of the driveway and let him out. It's a long driveway. I couldn't even see who would be in the car. Stephanie joined in as well, and she went to the grandmother's house to answer calls and make them, trying to locate Scotty, all while having known first-hand knowledge of where he was and what had happened to him. Stephanie and Susie knew that they had to do something with Scotty's body, so while driving they came across an abandoned mine. They placed Scotty out of view near the mine. It was then they decided that they needed to burn his body. So they went into town, they got gas, and returned. Jeez, and I feel like this should have definitely been charged as a first-degree, premeditated murder. This drives me insane, cases like this. When they returned, they doused him with gasoline and lit his little body on fire before burying it. Meanwhile, both parents took a lie detector test, and both passed and were eliminated as suspects. At this point, one name kept coming up as a suspect: Stephanie Spitzer, Scotty's stepmom. They knew Stephanie was insanely jealous of Scotty. The FBI got involved, and they called Stephanie in for questioning. When asked about an alibi for the day, she told officers that she had been doing laundry with her friend Suzanne. She was given a polygraph test and failed. Officers were confused, and one said it seemed like she was the best liar we had ever seen. And they questioned Susie next, and she was one of the worst liars they had ever seen. She gave The same story Stephanie gave. In fact, it was practically identical. This raised red flags, so Susie took a polygraph test and she failed miserably. Also, by the way, a little insight about this, they actually found Susie in Florida with her then truck driver husband going on like a road trip kind of thing with him. That's where they got her and started questioning her. After that, she confessed the entire story. She also added after the deed was done that Stephanie had said all of her troubles are over. Susie told them where they could find Scotty. So on December the 2nd, 1992, his charred remains were recovered 6 days after he had gone missing. His backpack still strapped to his back. Stephanie and Suzanne were both arrested, and later it came out, now I don't know this to be fact, but this is what I heard. Later, it came out that there was actually still soot in his lungs, which means that he actually was still alive when they burned him. Horrendous, heinous crime. They both were indicted for kidnapping and the murder of Scotty Baker on December the 18th in 1992. Susie was charged with reckless homicide, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse, and Stephanie was charged with murder, kidnapping, abuse of a corpse. And Susie's trial had to be moved to a different county due to the media attention the crime received. Usually, that's typical for here. People here do not take too kindly of situations like this. Her 7-page statement was introduced as evidence and accepted as a confession. She was convicted and sentenced to 20 years for kidnapping, 5 years for reckless homicide, 12 months for abuse of a corpse. The judge told her no one deserves to die the way you described, and he would have given her a more severe punishment if he had the authority to do so. Prosecutors considered the death penalty for Stephanie, but she pleaded guilty to all the charges, so she got 25 to life and a chance for parole in 2017. Now, I personally think the reason why she did not get the death penalty, in my personal opinion, is probably because she was pregnant as well. At this point, I believe that Stephanie has exhausted all of her parole hearings and was denied every single time. She claimed at her trial she was abused by Donald, and that's why she killed Scotty. Susie was released in 2008 for what is called good time credits. She served 15 years of her 25-year sentence. After she was released, Ruth told reporters she didn't want people to ever forget what she did when she walks down the street. She wants people to look at her and think, there goes a baby killer. Susie lives in Laurel County, Kentucky now, and she's married with 2 sons. And I know this because fairly recently, my nanny she ran into her. She acted as if she did not know my nanny. I feel like rightfully so, given their history and what she had actually done. Stephanie gave birth in prison, and her parents adopted her son. While in prison, she received a degree in divinity and a diploma for Bible studies. She even got married while in prison. Now, this is Stephanie. In 2017, she went before a parole board and retold her story. She gave different accounts of events of that day, and she was taking Scotty to see his dad, and he got spooked when Susie took off the wig and tried to jump out of the car while moving. So Stephanie choked him with his shirt so he wouldn't fall out of a moving car. She said this is the first time she ever gave the full account of what happened to Scotty that day. Stephanie also told the board killing Scotty was the mistake she made when she was young, and they told her, we've all been young and survived without murdering someone. They're pushing for her to serve her life sentence. Now, this was horrendous on so many levels. Come on, you don't deserve to get out of prison. I can't believe Susie's actually out of prison and living in town. But Stephanie did tell them that she doesn't believe that she deserves to be released. Ruth was at the hearing of Stephanie's parole board, and she spoke. She referred to Stephanie as that thing, and she gave a statement this was her statement. As he was begging to get out of the car, this thing came from by the back seat, reached over, got him by the neck, and pulled him across the seat. And while he kicked the dashboard out of the car, she choked him to death, and that's what I think of every day of my life. And I demand that she serves her life sentence. the dad, Donald, he filed a lawsuit against the school and the secretary, but it was dropped. However, the school board did tighten its student checkout policies, and we now have the emergency cards. This case is what brought on the emergency cards, and only those with identification cards and can show proof of their ID can check out the child. That is only on the emergency card, and that is in effect now. We use that now. Donald divorced Stephanie. Of course, she also got remarried in prison. He gave up his rights to their child given his occupation, and I think he just didn't want any ties to her, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. Scotty is laid to rest at the Manchester Memorial Gardens in Manchester, Kentucky. And that, my friends, is a story, sad story of Scotty Baker. I don't really have a bunch of insight. I did give a little bit of accounts about the Florida thing, about the soot. What I want to add here is that my mom and my uncle both went to school with Susie and Stephanie. And not only that, Stephanie's mom was actually my lunch lady in elementary school all of my elementary years, and same for my sisters when they went, because I'm a bit older than my sisters. My mom graduated with Stephanie and Susie. She has them in her yearbook, obviously. They wrote in her yearbook even. If I can get her to send me some pictures of that, I most definitely will put them in here. My uncle actually dated Susie. But they dated, they lived together. She spent time at my nanny's house, giving each other recipes and things like that. Actually, a recipe that we still use. Okay, and on top of that, while she was dating my uncle, living with my uncle and all of that, this woman, Susie, would also babysat me a few times and took me to the store, my mom said. And about a week or so prior to the horrendous acts they did on Scotty, my nanny actually ran into Susie at Walmart, and Susie said she had recently got married, and Nanny said that she told her, well, I guess kids are soon. You know, that's a thing people say around here. I don't know if that's like an everywhere kind of conversation, but if you out that you got married, people around here automatically assume you're gonna have kids soon. Susie told Nanny that, and if you didn't know, in the South, a nanny, we call it nanny, that's our grandmother. Granny, grandmother, grandma, mamma, you know, that kind of thing. Nanny. She said that Susie looked at her and gave her this terrible look and said, "I hate kids." A week later, Scotty was dead. So this, my friends, also is the case that most definitely got me into true crime. Is pretty much what started my morbid curiosity. I wanted to even be a mortician. That may be something you didn't know about me. And I've always been curious about these things. I think that this case really drove it home, especially since my family knows these people. And, oh, also, my cousin's first boyfriend was Stephanie's son that she had in prison. Yes, my sisters and my cousin both went to school with him. They graduated with him. So they've always had some kind of a tie within our family, I believe, and knowing, you know, not only what they did, but just little small ties like that. Actually know the son that she had in prison. Her mother, they don't really bring it up. They don't talk about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this case. I also have a couple more true crime cases coming that I plan on doing. I don't know when I'll get a chance to get to them, but I would like to do more. I should rephrase it like that. So I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other comments or questions pertaining to this case or any other cases you'd like to see, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so very much for watching, and don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell if you haven't already. Check the description box for the product list as well as additional links, and I thank you guys so very much for watching.